Yeah, so let me kind of go through like and this is just my process, and everyone's gonna have their own little different process. But let's say like I just got to work and um, I'm kind of getting ready, maybe for stand-up meeting or just kind of get ready for work. So here's kind of like what I would do. Let's see here. Let's just like close out all of my tabs. Just kind of get this cleaned up. Let me tab open. I should just quit Chrome. I don't know who. There's like a couple different type of people in the world. There's like those who have like 50,000 tabs open in Chrome, and those who don't. I'm definitely.
I was just seeing something about that too.
What?
So I was just seeing a post about that, about the tabs.
Yeah, I'm horrible. Tabs and windows and all of the above.
No, I started getting like anxiety if I got too many tabs open. Just don't feel good.
Yeah.
Feel disorganized.
It's like so many, windows open. Okay. Sweet. Now it's a little more manageable. I got my iTerm, my code, and my browser. There we go. Okay, so something I would do, like, I like to get like maybe like the Trello board up. I also like to get like the VS Code project, just the code up. Go and get into like my terminal, and I always like to do like a git pull origin master. Just get anything done. Now, something else that I should have done yesterday, I'm on this front end available branch. We actually got that done. So what I should have done yesterday, it's not a huge deal, but I should have get checked out master, done a get pull. But now, if it's the beginning of the day, I can do a get pull origin master. Get any of the changes that are up to date. I also like to do get status. Now, you should definitely get in the habit of committing at the end of the day. But it's always good to just check you don't have any changes, pending changes. But at the end of the day, you definitely want to like add and commit and probably push up to your branch, or at least commit, just at least commit. So I've pulled, I'm on master. I don't have any changes. It's also nice just to like project up and running. And then also some other things I'd like to do is like, if I'm doing front end stuff, pull up like the wireframes. If I was doing database stuff, like, have, this, like go to Lucid Charts or wherever this might be and have like my schema kind of set up, just so I have kind of all of the stuff available, and kind of just do like a little refresher. I kind of like to review what I did the last day. Just kind of nice. Oh yeah, like yesterday, like we did the available front end. We got, our agents property page done, where we're showing all the properties for a given agent, and could review that in the Trello board. So it's just taking like a 5-10 minutes and just kind of refreshing myself, like what I did yesterday and kind of where I'm at.
Hey, I have a question. Are we gonna use any CRUD on this?
we're not really, yeah, this one's really actually, we're not going to be doing any like creating, updating, or deleting. This one's really just purely like a reading app.
Okay. I was just making sure because when I was making the back end, I had already kind of created the CRUD, not knowing if we're going to use it or not. But I mean, I'll just leave it.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we're not going to be, I mean, it's kind of like, this is one of the most, difficult lectures, and we're not even doing any like creating or updating. So, but, yeah. So yeah, I mean, really how it, like, I'm just kind of taking all the stuff, I'm just like putting it into my own RAM. Like I'm just reviewing, getting my brain filled with like the RAM, like that short-term memory, so I can start working on this. And to me, that was like always, I like to do this, especially maybe like 5-10 minutes before a stand-up call. So like if I knew like I had to stand up at whatever time, I go through that particular project and like kind of review what I've done. Or if I was like, if the stand up was at like 12, then and I was working on the project, then it would just be fresh in my head. But yeah. So then, I would kind of think, and then let's say like, now we're kind of in stand-up mode. So now I kind of know like what I did yesterday. I know I'm going to be working on like these backend, the cities feature. So if I look at like, and this is why it's nice to have like the wireframes, I can come to like the cities. So it's like, oh yeah, this feature is going to be like, we're going to select the city. And then I should see the properties for that city. Cool. So when we go to like the stand up, I was, it'd be like fresh in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, I got done with the available page. And, I would be like, what, this took a little longer than I expected, just because, I got a little stuck on maybe, how to do the UI dummy data with like just, I had a hard time getting the UI set up, or maybe I got stuck on normalizing. So I could just kind of quickly mention that. And because maybe I could take that experience and be like, for this next day, I could maybe be like, ooh, doing the same stuff for the cities, that may or may not be hard. So I might take this experience I had from available and be like, ooh, maybe this is going to take longer than I initially thought. So this is another way you can get a little better at like guessing how long something is going to take. You can maybe take something you did previously that maybe seems like it's a similar thing. And you'd be like, ooh, actually that took like a day. So maybe this is going to take a day too. Cool. So today what we're going to work on is we're going to work on, the cities feature and the cities backend feature. So since we did the backend feature first, let's do with the available, let's do the front end feature first today.
Is this going to have a normalize function as well?
I am not sure, to be honest. So
that's something I kind of want to go through again.
We'll definitely, I think this one might not. Because our price, beds, bath, square footage, these are all going to be on, these are all columns on our property model. So I don't think they will. We could maybe add like the agent name and make it a little more, we could try to do something like that, but definitely for like, there's going to be other ones that will do the normalize. So
yeah, that's fine.
Cool. I don't think this one is going to need it actually, but we'll see. Cool. So yeah, let's just go ahead and so I don't have on the front end, there's not really any instructions on here. So let's just kind of like, I'm just going to copy and paste this just so I get a better game plan of like what I want to do for this. So I'm going to kind of have these same steps. You know. And then also I might take from my stories, you know, I might have this story on there. I kind of maybe don't need that if I have the wireframe. I think that's, you know, specific enough, but just to kind of give you an idea of what these cards might look like. I wish I could go like back to like, go show you my Jira board at like my other company. I don't have access to it, but like these cards would be like a page and they'd have like all these requirements and they're written by the project manager. Cool. But now, yeah, so now I have like I have a really good idea of what I want to do. So now I can go ahead, this is in progress. So now I can, as this is in progress, I can kind of go through this flow of like, you know, making sure requirements are clear, pulling from master, creating a branch, and then starting the work. So cool. So let's do that. So I'm starting a new ticket. So I would do like a get pull origin master. I mean, I know I'm up to date, but just to get in that habit, then I do a get checkout -B. So this is going to be like, I could call this, I don't know, JY cities front end branch. Cool. So now I'm kind of ready to start working. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that's on the front end branch. Cool. And then I can start up my server. All right. So we're just going to follow that flow of like kind of maybe these steps of, I think the first thing I want to do is, you know, set up page with React router. Cool. So let's open up, well, I'm pretty sure I have VS Code open up somewhere. So let's go to my client folder. I'll just throw this in the pages. Let's call this just cities.js. React. Let's see here. I'm having to bring part cities. Okay, cities equal. Let's make our simple React component. Actually, I want to bring up just something just crossed my mind with you know, Randy, you said you did the like all the CRUD actions in the controller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did it for the 3 of them.
cool. And that's fine. But I think something that one of the reasons we do, like we have a Trello board or stuff like this, and why we are saying what we're doing and why we're kind of listing out the requirements. It's so, and one point of this is so like we our team or people on our team don't end up doing work that we don't need to do. So like, during our, and this is why, it's good to like spend the time to plan this out, because, maybe that if that would have never came up, like, I never said we're going to do like create, update, or destroy. And so then that would never become a card in your, in this board. So then you wouldn't want to do that work. So part of the thing like this project management does is it like prevents us from, doing stuff like that. Because I definitely have like, in my job have like done tasks that were not part of what they wanted. And, they it's not like they got, they were kind of like, I would say, irritated, like, well, why did you do that? We're not going to use it. Like, it was a waste of time. So this helps manage those type of things where we're not going to be doing work that we don't need to do. Does that make sense? Because like you're going to be getting, it's like if you're like a contractor and like someone paid you to fix the bathroom, and you saw like the bathroom or like the kitchen needed work and you went and redid it, but they're like, well, I don't want you to redo the kitchen. I don't care if it needed to be done. I just wanted you to do the bathroom. It's kind of like that. So it helps us just focus on what we need to do. But yeah, it's I'm not picking on you, Randy.
No, it's all good. I was just like, when I did them, and then I was asking Michael too, and I was like, oh, I just realized I just kind of, I did them kind of quickly, but I was just like, damn, didn't have to do these. But I guess it's just good to have just have it in there.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That's what we've been doing. But and I'm just like, yeah, for like down the road, once you start working at a place, they're probably just going to want you to be working on like what they tell you to work on. And if there's something you think that needs, like, that is out of the scope of your ticket that you think needs to be added, you would want to go ask like whoever is in charge of making that decision. That may or may not be you. Like, for instance, if I was like, ooh, let's add like the agent on here, I'll be like, is that your, like, is that my choice? That's probably not my choice. That's probably the product owner's choice. So for your portfolio projects, you're going to have like Will or maybe Derek. They're kind of going to be acting as like the product owner. So they're kind of the ones who are going to be telling you what to build. Now, this isn't to say you don't have any say in like, features being added. Like it can very much be a two-way conversation. So if you think you want to add something, I think it's one of those things, just ask. Like, don't feel like you're being forced to build what someone's telling you. Like, sometimes you as the developer know better than your product owner. Like I said, it can kind of be a weird dynamic between like a project. So there's a couple different terms. There's like the owner, like the product owner. That's like the person who is really responsible for what is like going into the app, like the direction of the app. Like they own it. It's kind of their responsibility. There's also a product manager or project manager. They're kind of the person seeing the day-to-day flow of like building out the features. Sometimes the project manager and the product owner can be the same person. sometimes the product owner, I've worked with like product owners who they're just like the senior dev at the company. And so they take responsibility for the project, and they're just like an employee at the company who owns the product. They don't technically own it, the company does, or the product owner might be like the client paying you to build the app. Like if Uber came to me and was like, hey, build out this app, and they'd be telling me what to build, they would be the product owner because they're the one like giving me the money to build it, and they're the ones deciding. So, and you'll kind of, I think you'll kind of get a little idea of this, like we're kind of doing like a little mini version of this with the portfolio project. So you could think of like Will's kind of going to be like a product owner. Michael's going to kind of be, and maybe myself will be like project managers. And you're going to be the developers. But you definitely can have a say in like the features being added, or like how it looks and that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. All right. Okay. This kind of stuff was something that like when I went to DevPoint Labs, like the whole project management was not taught. They didn't really talk about it. And then once I went to like my first job, I was just like so lost with like stand up and like this kind of thing. So I think it's really good that we're doing this, because it's going to be like something you're going to experience, or it's something your company's going to be using in some sense. So, all right. Okay, sorry. So I've made this cities component. Let's go back to our, just coding this, our index.js, or sorry, app.js, where I want to add this component. So just call this, do a path to \cities that will take us to that component. So make sure you add that. Cool. And then I'd say the last thing maybe is the nav bar. Set a little link here. My lovely styling right there. Test that out. All right. So now I got that page set up. And then now we can start working on the next part. So let's kind of think about this next part, because if I go to my Trello, where is it? It's going to be the Axios call part. Now this is a little challenging, right? Because I don't have I know that we haven't done our back end right. That's definitely not working. So let's kind of think about this. Let's say we're like, oh man, dude, how are we going to do this? Let's just say at this point, then we would need to go talk to like our backend person. So Beck, I'm kind of stuck. Let's go talk to the backend person. And then let's go, hey, backend person, like, what are you working on this? Like, what are we going to get back? Or how should we do this? Because what two things do I need really? if we're the front end person and I'm working on this feature, first of all, how many API calls do you think I need?
Probably just one, right?
I could do this with one. Actually, I could. All right, let's maybe try this. From yesterday, so let's just go to my cities page. This might be kind of interesting to do this. Okay. You know what? I am going to import that Axios hooks. Is everyone okay with that? So we don't have to do the use effect like 20,000 times. Does that sound good?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think this is going to clean up our code. We're doing all these Axios calls on mount. So boom, let's just go ahead and add this yarn. So this might be something, so I'm adding a third-party library. Now this should be something, especially with something like this should be something I should talk to my team about. Because what I should avoid is having some people do like, you know, when they grab data, they're doing like a use effect to grab the data. And then we're kind of like this, having this mismatch way of doing it between components. So I could be like, hey, I found this library that, you know, makes doing Axios calls a lot easier. Should we use this for the project? And that should be like a team decision. And go, look how much cleaner this is. Like we can just do a get, you know, in like one line of code, and it gives us like error handling and loading UI. And it's going to work out really well. It's a lot cleaner than this. So then.
So are you gonna have to go back and like change everything then?
That might, like, I don't know, maybe for this available page, I would have to, or maybe I just leave it and throw it as a to-do. Just start building up my backlog. But we only have one page. And this is why, like, once again, and this is like impossible, but like the better you plan stuff out at the start, the less you run into these issues. Now it's kind of like the hindsight's 2020 type thing, but you know, it just goes to show that planning, you know, can save time in the long run. But let's just go ahead and do it anyway, and we'll just leave available as is because we don't have that much time to go in and refactor it. So I'm going to do a yarn add Axios hooks because we got the approval of like my team. And we're going to use it for this page. Cool. So now I can import Axios. Oh, wait, what is it called? It's called use Axios. Now I can do something like this, like const data, or wait, we're just gonna, I forget how we just structure it. I think it comes as it returns an array whose first thing is an object with these three things, with the data key, loading, and error key. I don't need that second function, so I'm not even grab it. So use Axios, and then I can throw in my URL here. So it's going to be API / what was the one we used yesterday? properties. I'm just going to do a paragraph here. JSON.stringify. You know, and then I can also do this like if error, we can do a little basic error handling. Now, this is where for your portfolio project, you might want to have like, you know, maybe a standard way of like handling all this stuff, or, you know, you might want like a standard spinner. But for now, I'm just going to do some basic UI stuff. Error occurred. Cool. Actually, you know, I'm going to do this in a, we'll refactor this in 1 second. Cool. So I'm doing the call, I'm doing the API call from what we did yesterday. Let's go to my cities. Need to start my yarn. Start. Okay, so we're going to actually go in and create the SQL calls to do this, but from the SQL call we did yesterday, don't we have the information to do this? Like I select the city and then I show the price, beds, bath, and square footage. So I need a drop down. So first I need to get all the unique cities, right? Those are in this array, right? They're duplicates, but they're in there. Does that, am I making sense? We have the information to do this UI.
Yeah, you're good. I get it.
Cool. So I don't even need, we are going to do some specific API calls for this, but let's just do this front end right now. So I could do like a const get drop down. I'm going to do a function whose job it is to, you know, get this drop down menu. So let's just ignore everything else except just this drop down. So this is going to be like, in my mind, maybe just right now, maybe there's going to be more. It's kind of going to be 2 steps, 2 bigger steps. The first step is going to be like getting all unique cities. And 2 is going to be like, how do we, you know, hook this up to Bootstrap Component? And actually, there's going to be a third, you know, and what a third with this one is like, how do we handle the quick event? The select. Actually, I'm going to call this get not drop. I'm going to call this select. So we're using that same word. All right. So getting all unique cities. Any ideas on how to do that? Let's write this in a, let's just do this in a function. Let's just say let cities equal get unique cities. Any ideas on how I can go through an array of data like this and just create a unique array of, I just want the strings like SLC. What else do we have? Draper, Sandy. I think those
Would
are
a filter work for that?
filter. Okay, yeah. Let's try filter.
Or would that be better to just use a map?
So, I mean, I think anything is a good idea. Just try, yeah, filter. So what are we going to be doing with filter?
Filter would let you get rid of the duplicates, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking.
How would it let you get rid of the duplicates?
Because you're only filtering what you want, right?
So yeah, I mean,
Or does it just, or
kind of-
would it just return all the duplicates?
well, this is where like, let's really think about what filter does. I definitely think we can make this work with filter. Maybe, yeah, probably. It might be a little weird, but I think we could get it to work. So what does filter do? See, it's like we filter goes through an array and so let's say this, you give filter a function. Here's our function. Filter goes through the array and performs that function on everything in that array. If that function returns true, it keeps that thing and pushes it into a new array. If that function returns false, it does not keep the thing in the new array.
So could we say something like if cities equals and then list all of the cities, like keep it kind of a thing? Or not, yeah, that would be true or false.
If cities,
Like if there's a city, then put it in the array.
No, I meant if cities equals and then I guess it would be, we'd have to go through and see what our cities are, which might be hard if it was a huge database, but like if cities equals SLC, oh wait, no, never mind. I see now my flaw. Never mind.
I feel like we have to figure out how to find the city first within the array.
how do we do that? So I have this data, I'm doing a filter, and then here's the function. So how would I log the city? So I think that's a great idea. Like, how do we get the city?
If you're using D as a variable,
Now we're not even, yeah, like, how do I log the city? Just gonna go step by step.
you couldn't just do D.city, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna say.
E.city. And then, yeah, I can go in, inspect, go to my console, see if this works. Oh, well, why isn't this working?
I think you need a return, right?
I mean, it don't need a return for a log.
Oh.
This is like,
You're not passing unique cities an array.
I mean, I have it right here. It's there. There's the
Okay.
data. There it is.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. Okay.
Here's my function. There's my function.
Mhm.
I'm calling it here, right?
Yeah.
This one's grayed out though.
Does a filter need an argument?
No. It might
You
ever
call
call
the
it.
get select one, don't you? Because it's not
Yeah.
actually doing the function.
Yeah, I'm not even calling this function. I'm calling it here, but I don't ever call get select. So I need to call my get select. I think this can kind of maybe be part of the hard part of like trying to do this in the React part. Like this might be a good part to like throw out into a separate file. Because now I'm like trying to get this figured out with like my React code. And then you can get stuck on like even calling your function. Cool. There we go. Now we're logging the cities. So now we're calling it and we're logging the cities. Cool. So that's done. So now we know how to go through each thing and grab this city.
Okay, so the next step would be basically we want to drop down where those cities only appear once, right?
Yeah, and don't even like, we don't need to drop down. We just need I just want an array because this function right here doesn't
Yeah.
care about drop
You want
down.
an array, but you just want 3 cities in it because there are only 3. You want to
Yeah.
get
So
yeah.
it should be an array of strings with Salt Lake, Draper, and Sandy.
yeah. So
And we can,
Oh, can you use that set function that you used yesterday?
yeah, I think the set one would be good.
oh yeah, so you could do let unique cities.
But let's kind of let's stick. But like, how are we going to use that with filter
You'd have to do a map,
or a map?
right?
Yeah, I mean, filter, we could get this to work with filter. Let me just show you how we get this to work with filter. I could say something like this. Let unique cities. I'm just going to create an array right here. And then I could say like, if, you know, unique cities dot, I always forget, I should know, is it contains, what's the method to see if there's something in an array in JavaScript? I should know this. I thought it was contains, but that's Ruby. Includes, there it is, includes. So I could do something like this. If unique cities, or let's do a not. If it does not include the dot city, then let's go ahead and push d dot city. And then it's down here, console.log. That's unique cities. SLC Sandy Draper. Cool. So I did this with filter, right?
Yep.
Am I using filter correctly here? I would, because if you, this would be like, could be like if this was your code and like, you're like doing an interview question, someone asks you like, why did you use filter here? Or should have you used filter here?
Only wanted one instance of each city.
Well,
'Cause-
it's filter just supposed to be used for when you're wanting to remove stuff and we're not really removing a thing. We're just removing duplicates.
Yeah, we're not really
Yeah.
using filter. We want to filter is meant to return, true or false. And then we like keep something. So we're really just using filter to go through each thing in the array. So really this shouldn't be filter. This should just be for each.
Yeah.
For each. I mean, I could it works with filter because filter does like it's going through each thing, but I think it's a capital E for each. Cool. So that would be the better way to do
That's
that
less confusing to me. Yeah.
because I'm not really filtering anything.
Yeah, I guess you'd want all your data still. You just want it sorted. So it's like filter wouldn't really make that much
Yeah.
sense.
So you could get it to work with filter, but it kind of be like, if someone looked at it, it could be confusing. It's like, well, you're not really filtering anything.
Kind of redundant, yeah.
So this works. Yeah, but there's like a lot of different ways we could do this. We could do this with,
You could have done a map too, right?
I mean, map would have worked. But once again, that's not the point of map. Like, why are you, this is not what map does. Like I'm using map incorrectly here.
Okay.
I get why filter didn't make sense to use, but I don't really get why map is the wrong one to use. Because what's the purpose of map that's not this?
Map. Okay, so if you think of filter kind of looks like it's the right one because filter is, well, let me kind of explain why they're both wrong. So map is I want to go through my data set. So let's say I have 10 things in here.
Also not for deleting things and working.
Yeah, map's not for deleting, it's for transforming. So I have 10 things and I transform them into 10 different things.
Okay.
Filter would be like I have 10 things and I remove X of them, but they're not transformed. See how like this is transformed because I'm going from array of objects to array of strings. So I'm like, I don't want to use map or filter because it's kind of like I'm doing both of those at the same time. And so really it's like semantically what I'm doing is I'm just going through each of my things in the my array and just pushing them onto this new array. Another way, yeah, we could probably do it with the set where we could like map over. So if I wanted to use a map, this would be how I would do it for the map. I would grab my map and maybe create like have this equal like cities. And then I don't do the check here. I just return d.cities or d.city. So I go through all of my data and I'm just going to grab the strings that are the cities. So if I do this, see, that gives me an array of all my cities. But there's going to be duplicates because map isn't meant to like change the number of things. It just transforms it.
Yeah, but then you could use the spread operator and the function, right?
Yeah. And then I could use the spread and like do something like this, like the ... new set cities. So this spread operator, like this is only going to work for like strings and numbers. Like you can't do a new set on objects, but this should work on yeah, arrays of strings and arrays of numbers.
Okay.
I looked up this when we were talking about it. I just Googled it to see what it said on Google, but it says do self.index of what's that? And then it also does say filter. It doesn't. So like if I'm Googling something, like this is part of the thing, like when I'm Googling how to do something and they're telling me it different, like.
Yeah,
So-
well, I've shown you how to do this with filter. I showed you how to do this with map. I showed you how to do this with for each. Now we're doing this where we're mapping and then we're doing a new set. They're all, giving me back, an array of unique cities.
I'm saying, like, what's a better way to Google where I find like the good way to do it? Because it's not really saying like, there's, I mean, just like Googling a lot would eventually for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me how to be a good Googler. That's,
Well, like, because when I Google stuff to try to find the answer, I don't feel like I really get an answer when I'm trying to Google something.
yeah. So one of the things you can do, and like, especially with this type of stuff, this is where it's, maybe doing like the coding challenges helps, and like seeing other people's solutions. You can, it does get it. I wouldn't really want you to get into like you can start to like analyze which one's more efficient. There's kind of that aspect of it. There's also just the aspect of like, which one's more readable. So like, which one makes more sense as you're just looking at the code? And as you Google stuff, I think sometimes you can find explanations. It's not just like, here's the code. They might give you like two different ways to do it, and then they might explain kind of the differences. So that's what I was trying to get at with like filter. It's like filter works, but that would kind of be a bad way to do it, because you're kind of using filter as a for each loop. So it's kind of, it works, but it's not semantically correct. Like this one works, we can map over it and, we can grab the cities and then we spread out over them. But this one might be like, I don't know, maybe this one is not as efficient because we have to go map over all the cities and then we have to create a new set and then we create a new array from that set. I mean, I would say don't care about efficiency for now. Like that's probably the last thing you should care about. If this one's like more readable, that's good. I think one like, and let me show you this one, because I think this one would be a good one. How I would probably do this is with reduce. Because I think like reduce is nice because like you can kind of create any like, reduce is nice because you can essentially take an array of data, you can like map it, filter it, you can kind of just do whatever. So I'm going to just say unique cities here. And this will just also give us some more practice with reduce. So with the reduce function, I give it my function where I go through each thing. Like here's my function to run on each thing. And there's actually like a second argument that I pass to reduce, which is what's going to be called like the accumulator. Now, this is where the reduce is confusing, but also powerful. Like reduce can return anything. Like it can return a number, it can return an array, it can return an object. Like other methods don't do that, right? Like what does filter always return?
An array.
Yeah. Map always returns in an array. Like for each always returns, undefined. But reduce can return anything. So what reduce returns? Reduce returns the accumulator. If I can spell accumulator, however you spell that. And And that's what the second argument is. Second arg is the starting value. So in this case, I'm starting this off as an array because that's what I'm going to eventually want to return. And then in the reduce function, I have my my data, but I also get access to the accumulator. So let's just console.log this, console.log d, and console.log accumulator. Okay. Now I got these reversed. Sorry, it's actually the accumulator is the first thing, and then the data is the thing is the second thing. So notice when I first run this, I'm going to just clear this because my accumulator is undefined. But if I scroll up to the very top, see D is, that first object in the array. Because I'm going through each thing. That's what D is going to be. It's going to be the thing we're iterating over. And then there's my accumulator. There's the empty array. But notice the second time it's undefined. Well, that's because the function, this function that I pass to the accumulator. So let's say this return value becomes the next accumulator in function call. Let's just return 1. Let's rerun this. Okay. So I started out, it's the array, and then I say that function then returns 1. So, and then it always returns 1. So that's the next accumulator. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do, accumulator dot push d dot city. And then let's return the accumulator. Cool. So let's start at the top. I'm going to clear this so we get rid of that last log. So I'm going through my first thing in the array. Boom. My accumulator is an empty array. And then I'm going through the second thing, and then notice how my accumulator has that city in it. Because I'm going through each thing and I'm pushing it onto the accumulator. And I go through, so with each thing I'm pushing on the city to that accumulator, and then that becomes the next accumulator for the next function call. So this is like building up that accumulator. And I can just go through and I can push all of those things onto that accumulator. So this is just doing what my map is doing, like when I first mapped it. But now I can do something like this. I can say, hey, like if accumulator dot includes if it includes my d dot city, I can just return the accumulator. I don't need to do anything to it. Or let's do it like this. Or I could write it like, if it does not, this will be probably a little cleaner. If it does not include the city, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push on the city to the accumulator. And then I return the accumulator. And there we go. So it first finds the Salt Lake City, and then as it goes through the other ones, you know, it sees that the accumulator already has it, so it doesn't push it. Ooh, there's a new city, Sandy, so push it on. So forth. There's Draper, push it on. That's how I could do that with like the reduce function. And then I could just return this. Because the reduce function, once it's finally done, it returns the accumulator. So. Yeah, I mean, we just went over like 5 different ways to do it. So the best way is, I'd say, and I think that's a good question to ask, like, which is the best way to solve it? I think the best way to solve it is the way you understand. There might be a more efficient way there. There might be some like tricky, neato way to solve it. But especially when you're starting out, if you don't understand the code, then who cares? Like, I think for now, I think the best way is you find a way that you understand how it's working.
Do you think on Stack Overflow, how they have like people that vote? Do you think it's good practice to kind of pay attention to the ones that have the most votes? Like,
yeah, I think that can, I wouldn't say that's like the holy grail, but like, I definitely take it like when I'm looking at Stack Overflow, yeah, I'm definitely like, if there's something that has like 1,000 upvotes and something that has like 0 votes, I definitely give that, some thought.
yeah.
But, sometimes like with Stack Overflow, you might find something like, especially running into like bugs or like it doesn't quite match, you might find your answer like a little more in the middle. So, but yeah, I think for sure the upvotes and Stack Overflow are like a good little, like, it's because it's just quick and easy, like a good little voting system to like look at it. And then I think the comments can be good because I think that's part of the way you can kind of learn a little, is reading the comments and reading the sub comments, because then you might get some like, oh, here's some edge cases of why this is not a good way to do it, even though it has the most votes. Cool. So there's how we can get the unique cities. And we did it with reduce. I think. Cool. Yeah, so let's keep going. I mean, that's the first step. But I like this. I like this lecture because we're really getting into like some of this, like, hey, this is why, like, when I say go do those, like go do 1 or 2 brain teasers a day, because it's not just like, something I'm saying just because I'm mean. It's like you really like, you start to do those brain teasers and then they help. Because, and like someone suggested to use like the new set operator, because we did that yesterday. That would have been a perfectly good solution. And then you start to learn these tricks. It's like, oh, yesterday I learned how to get unique IDs. So I could do the same thing to get the unique cities. So as you start to solve some of these like challenges, you start to like get these little tools. So the next one's a little easier. Okay. So now I'm able to get a list of unique cities. Cool, we have that function. So now we can do this next step of doing the Bootstrap component. So this one, yeah, let's not do in code sandbox. Let's just do it up in here, but I'm still going to like go to their docs. Components. These ones are either usually called like a select or a drop down. course, nothing is ever named the same. What do they call it? Buttons with drop downs. Do they not? It should be like a select. Well, it's a form.select. Okay. So here we go. That's probably what we want to use. And looks like they have an on change function called backfired when the value prop changes. I really hate how they do not like show you an example of that, but we'll figure it out. So it looks like we can give it an on change prop that is fired when the value prop changes. So let's just see if we can get this working. So I'll take this component, just copy it, and let's just call it right here, get select. Let's call this render select. And this function for now is just going to return this. So I need to import the form. And so let's call this a render select function right here. Because what I'm trying to do is now I just want this to, I just want my like to see this working in my UI. Like get the Bootstrap component working. So I go to my code, over to my app. Render select is not defined. I need to say const. Render select. I'm calling get select. Select should be here. Where is it? Why is
Not returning anything.
yeah, so my render select returns this component. My get select function calls this, but it doesn't return it. So I need to return that right there. There we go. There's my select. Yeah, I don't have that. It's not working when I select it. Like I don't have a callback, but it's saying, yeah, if you have like a on change. Now, yeah, like I said, I just like, it doesn't really show you like the function signature. So I kind of just have to guess how this works, or like go find like a React Bootstrap select example online. So, but I bet if I do like the handle, I'm going to do a handle select. I'm just maybe going to assume this probably just gives me back an event, and then I can kind of find it. So yeah, X. I'm expecting this to like pass us something, which is probably the event. So then I could do like a console.log X. Just kind of guessing what it is. Or I could go Google and see how to do the on change in the form select. But I'm kind of thinking we're going to get like a X dot target dot value on here. That would maybe be my guess. And the value is going to be what it is here. Like what I'm placing right here. So this should probably log 1 the string 1 if I click this button. Let's go back here, clear this. Yeah, so there's the event, there's that React event, and there's the e.target.value. Just kind of, and I guess that just because that's like, you know, I mean, like I said, this is not really great description, but I kind of just guessed that because that's how, like, you know, React events work. It's, we can grab that value from the e.target.value, just like we do like with an input, a form input. So, and that's what I want. Cool. So now instead of, now I've kind of like figured out how to do this. So now what I could do is I could like pass the unique cities to this render select method. And instead of like, and then I could make this a little more specific. So select city. So how do I go through this form and now have it have my options? Right, cities is going to be like in an array that looks something like this. It's going to be an array of strings. So I want to go from an array of strings to an array of these option JSX that, you know, would be like SLC. What function is that? Take one thing and take an array of data and transform it into a different array of data that's going to have like the same count.
Map.
Yeah, that one's our map. So here I could just do this within here. I could do my cities dot map. Let's just call it city. Go through each city. And I don't need to return this because it's all on one line. But I could do my option value equals city. And then in here I could say the city. I need to wrap that in brackets, so the actual city. And there we go. Sandy Draper. And then when I click on it, it's now clicking that. It's now like logging the city. So cool. So there is that piece of that. Yeah, I think let's take a break here. This would also, like, I've done a lot of work. This would definitely be a good time to commit, because I've done quite a few changes. You know, it's at a working state, like drop down working. And then now I can push this up. Even though it's not ready to be merged, I can still push this up to my branch on GitHub. Cool. What, and let me just ask, like, since I'm using this, we're gonna do this in a different way where we like grab the cities from a specific API call. But if I was kind of going through this and I'm doing this Axios call again here to get the properties and I'm doing it here and available as well, what might this kind of lead you maybe to think, oh, we should maybe do this where? Like I'm doing two API calls that are getting data in the same spot. Like, you know, it's the same data.
Data provider?
Yeah, like I should probably just do this in a data provider, like, and then share that information to this component and that component. That would, because this would clean this up, because then I could just like on mount when my page loads, I just grab all that stuff. But like I said, we're going to do the cities page in like two different ways. So for now, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do this in a data provider. But I kind of just wanted to illustrate this would probably be a good case to do this in our data provider.
Can you go back to the available page real quick?
Yeah.
So I'm just looking through this normalized data function just kind of on my own. The one thing I don't understand. Let's see. I don't know what that object is doing at the very bottom, like the let first name, last name, email equals properties at 0.
Yeah, this one's a little.
Did we do like a couple redundant things, or is this all working together like it should be? Is there anything that doesn't need to be in here?
No, this all needs to be in here.
Mhm.
The way we have this set up. So what we do is we grab, and if you want, you can take a break and come back at 11:10.
Mhm.
But yeah, what we're doing here is we're going through. So first we do one thing. We grab all the unique IDs.
Right.
And then, so just kind of like skip these two steps.
Yeah, so this raw agent properties would be the API call essentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we get it down to a point where I just have like a list of numbers, which are the unique IDs. So I'm going to map over them.
Mhm.
But then I'm going to go through my raw agent properties again, and I'm going to filter those. So now I'm just going to get all the, and I'm filtering by where the agent underscore ID equals the UID.
Mhm.
So I'm just getting all the properties where those two IDs matches. So those are going to be the properties that belong to the agent.
Okay.
But I need to return something that has like a name and email.
Okay.
So what I do right here is I'm just assuming, like, because that properties, like the properties information contains all of the data.
Mhm.
So like, for instance, like if we were to do like this, we would be on the properties of, we're doing the unique ID. So we'd be filtering out all of the properties that belong to Grady that first time.
Okay.
So what I do is, but I want to grab like Grady's name and email.
Yeah.
So I just say, hey, like these are all going to be Grady's. So I'm just going to take the first one
Mhm.
and then grab the first name, last name, and email.
I see.
And that's how I get that information.
Okay.
It's just the first, because that's like, this would be all the properties for Grady, but I need Grady's name. So I grab like the first and last name and email from that first thing in my properties.
Yeah.
So
Did our products have that information like the properties does?
those are what?
I'm just thinking of when I created my, that was a question for me, sorry.
Oh,
The products, I was just thinking if the products the model we made yesterday had that same information, or if it was organized the same.
Our properties don't have agent information,
Yeah,
but the SQL call we do, we're joining the tables.
oh yeah, okay,
So the raw agent properties does have that,
I see,
yeah, data.
okay. Yeah, I have to look at that SQL call too, then, and try to understand that better.
I think this one should probably, this is one way to do it, but I'd say this one would definitely be better to do as reduce.
Mhm.
Should do that right now. Normalize data reduce. But yeah, you can take a break and then I'll like maybe just slack this out if you want to look at it.
Okay. Now I'm just looking at the SQL call, so it's just saying select all those parameters. Yes, it's select all those parameters from the product and then join them with the seller. I'm enjoying watching you do this.
What?
I said I'm enjoying watching you do this.
Yeah. Oh, I should probably, I could try to explain what I'm doing. This is so hard to read. What am I doing?
Didn't seem like I liked your else statement.
I'm just trying to, well, I'm trying to just get the agent IDs. Find
Should it be A.agent ID instead of AP?
let's see here, push. No, that this A is for this function only.
Okay.
If that should be -1 for all of these, or at least once. -1. This.
Why is the index -1?
Because like the first time, so I'm building this accumulator and I want to start storing the agents in there. So if it's -1, it means I haven't added that agent in there.
Oh, I see.
So that's going to be like the first time it like is looking through it. When it finds it, I want to add it. So like I should just be able to like, well, maybe if I did it like, why? I just don't know why it's doing this empty array. Or like this empty, why is that object empty?
Is it pretty common? Is it pretty common when you're normalizing data or when you're trying to basically transform it into something that's more readable? Is it ever like, is it always kind of a tricky process?
I mean, it kind of just, it's more just like, there's just so many different ways to do it. And then like, there's like, I think like once you do it in one way, you kind of like, you see better ways to do it.
But data can look different all the time, right? Too. So it just depends on what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay. It's their agent ID is undefined. I have an agent. It's getting stuck on this. Oh, okay. I know what I did wrong. Huh.
There's something wrong with your agent properties.
Well, I'm mapping, I'm like reducing over this stuff that's already been normalized. So it's not like that raw.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you got rid of that upper function and you were just redoing it.
I need to do it right here. I'm gonna do it right here with the res.data. That's what I need to do. Kind of like I did with here. I need to pass it. Okay. And then see, this is why it's like it's hard to like, it's just so much easier to do this outside of React. 'Cause now
Oh, just to like,
I kind of need to do this. Okay. I gotta like need to like just change how I'm. Okay. Yeah, it's getting so messy. Normalize data, reduce. Is that not the right function set?
you don't need the let, do you?
Oh wait, no, this needs to be like, this is just a variable X. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. So there's my agent IDs.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. So yeah, so this should. Agent ID, there's the properties. And yeah, the properties. So I could get like the agent ID here and then the name. Like this. Agent ID, email, name, and then the properties. But yeah, I might want to like remove, because now the properties has all like this stuff. So maybe I just want like the email. Or like, let's just do like maybe the street.
Oh, you need to, yeah, because I see what you're saying.
Like I don't have, this is a part I don't have to do, but like
But it's kind of,
it just kind of like cleans it up.
yeah,
Because now like if I just have the street. See, that gives me the agent, like the agent information and then the properties, which is just going to have the
which all
street.
you need is the address, yeah.
And then, yeah, then I could go build out like what I wanted.
Whoa.
But then now it might be cleaner to destructure this stuff here, like last name, first name, agent, ID, street. What else do I have? Email. I can get rid of this AP stuff. That whole thing. See if that broke anything. AP is not defined. Where am I using it? Oh, I need.
Is that your console log?
It's right there. Oh yeah, and then there. So I could do like street zip. Just need to pull that from there. And then since I'm using that again, I could probably like store this to a variable. Yeah, I don't know if this is much cleaner, but it's working.
Mhm.
So there. So yeah,
The normalized data is, like quick gloss over, the normalized data is giving you back an object the way you want it organized, right?
yeah.
And then the reduce is filtering out all the duplicates. The reduce is getting rid of all the duplicates.
The way I have this reduce set up, it's just this is where this is like there's not like the reduce can do anything. Like in this case, what I'm doing, like you could like if agent is not like agent is not in accumulator.
Okay.
Or really what I should say, like agent ID is not an accumulator. So add it and the one property.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm doing here. The else case, this is where like, you know, agent is in accumulator.
So it doesn't need to be.
So I don't need to add the agent information. I just need to just
Just
the property
Mhm.
to properties array of that agent. Yeah, of that agent.
Okay.
I think one of the best ways, and I guess we can get started. I've kind of just been on break / not.
I didn't need if you need. I'm sorry if you needed one.
No, I'm good. So yeah, if you want, so let's get started now. This will kind of be more official. So I just did like the normalized data that we did yesterday for the available. I just did it using a reduce function. So it's something you can, you know, look at in free time if you want. You know, it's Saturday night, you can go have some fun and look at this function. But I think especially with these iterators, one thing that can really help you understand them, especially like reduce, because reduce is a little confusing. You log out the stuff in each iteration. And then that's kind of how we can kind of like see how this is working.
What is your component returning?
My component.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Oh, this one, for that one, it's just stringifying it. Maybe I should throw that at the bottom
Oh, I see.
and just say like, give it a little message like This should work. Like I should be able to like, I mean, the true test. Let's see if this works. Here's going to be my test. So instead of using, because I have these two agent properties, I have agent properties and agent properties 1. I did them in 2 different ways. Let's just see if my second way worked by doing that. So it's kind of working. I just haven't added like price or bads. Like I need to add, you know, price baths to the thing, and then it will work. So there's now I have like the price and baths, but then I need to
Look at
do
that.
with bed, square footage, and city. So, but it is working. Like it's taking my data, and let's just kind of look at Garnet Grady. Like I don't know, just maybe look at the prices like 1, 2, 4. Like or Garnet Grady has 5. You know, on the I don't know, the first price is 1, 2, 4, 7, 3, 7. The last one's 4, 9, 8. So if I switch this back, that shouldn't change anything. Well, yeah, see, that's like the right price, and that's the right ending price. So they're doing the same thing,
Yeah. 2 different ways.
2 different ways.
Gotcha.
But yeah, with the reduce in particular, I think is really like the way you really understand reduce is like with those logs, and you kind of like you go through like this accumulator. Or did I mix these up? I feel like I'm logging the same thing. Yeah, I am. Okay. D is not, oh, I can't. Let's do property. I kind of screwed this up because now I'm like destructuring right here. I could kind of do it like that. But anyway. Why does my accumulator have everything in it already? I have my logs in a weird spot, but anyway, I'll let you kind of like figure that out if you want to.
Okay. Thank you.
Sweet. But yeah, I think these can kind of be fun. Like you can solve it one way, and then yeah, I think as you go through solving some of these, you'll be like, oh wait, there's got to be like a cleaner way, and then because you kind of like start to like learn some tricks, and you kind of start to see things as you go through and solve them. So cool. So let's go back to our cities page. So yeah, after all this work, we now have a drop down. Yay. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and once we select the city, we want to now just get all the properties once we select a property, like just all the properties that belong to that city. So let's just do this with only this one API call, because once again, we have the data to do this. So what I want to have happen now is like when I select the city, I want to show like the filtered cities or the filtered properties. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to first just create, anytime you think about like your data, like your UI changing, doesn't that always just kind of say like, I need some use state? Like I need state. If my UI, if the state changes, I need state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create this state called filtered cities. And we'll have a function to set filtered cities. I'm going to set this to an empty array, or I could set it to null. Could kind of make one of those two choices. And the reason why I would set that to an empty array or to null is because if I look at my wireframe and how this works, like I don't show any of the properties until a city has been selected. So this is something I don't want to really set. I don't want to set my filtered cities until, you know, someone selects a city. Right? So I'm initially going to have like nothing to display because I need someone to go in and select the city. And then I'll filter. Cool. So this handle select, this is where I want to filter. Okay, so let's also just do this. Let's do filtered cities right here. So I'm going to stringify that data. And let's just do like a filtered cities. Right, so my filtered cities, let's just like refresh. Maybe I need to figure out how to not have that Salt Lake by default. I think that's what this little thing was for. That's the default one. I cannot stand Bootstrap. How do I just do like a blank one that's not predefined? Disabled on. Or let's do play. I need a placeholder for select. Placeholder for select. Let's do React Bootstrap. Because I don't like how it's like it says it's so. What is going on here? What?
Stack Overflow is all over the place. Mine's like yellow and red. I don't know what's going on.
Is this like an April Fool's Day trick?
It might be.
Probably.
Mine looks absolutely terrible.
That makes total sense.
What?
It looks like you need 3D glasses to look at it. Like mine is red and blue, like 3D glasses would probably make it 3D.
Mine looks like Mario.
Mine's yellow and red. It's just like, it looks like it's from 2001.
Okay. I'm like, yeah.
I'll get the screenshot.
Okay.
An
Yeah.
article this morning about how a court ruled that Alta and Alta and Deer Valley have to allow snowboarders, and I totally believed it.
React.
Hate this day.
Option.
It's the filter at the bottom that's changing it.
Oh, nice. Mario.
Because now mine's Mario.
I see. Okay, that's
Is that like Windows Vista or XP? What's the Windows one?
3D. I wish I had 3D glasses. Let's go. Oh yeah, lovely Microsoft Explorer.
Oh, mine's the hot dog one. That's what it is.
The 3D one makes me nauseous.
All right.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Okay, I'm gonna figure this one out later, but that would be something I'd want to do. Like, I don't like how like when this is selected, it's already just, I guess that kind of works. We'll just say select option, and then I don't like how that is an option, but. Oh my God, okay. So, but once I select something like Sandy or Draper, then my city should be filtered. So now I want to filter them. So I have my data. So this is what I'm getting back from my Axios call. And I could rename this if I wanted to, just to maybe make my code a little more semantically correct, or like, I could maybe just call that properties. So I just come in, rename that, because I have to call it data, because this is how they use Axios hook works. I need to like destructure data off of there, but then I could rename it to something that's a little more readable. So then, and then let's call this, instead of X, let's call this like event, because really that's what that is, an event. And then I could like store this to a value, like let option equal that. Okay, so now I have the thing they are like selected, or selected value equals that. So now I want to go through my properties, and I want to, now data is not defined. Where is data? Properties. So now because when I select one of these, it's going to like grab me the thing I selected. So then I want to go through my properties, and I want to just grab the ones where the city matches. What is that going to be? Like what function? So I want to take this array and just remove all of the things that don't have like the city that, let's say I selected Sandy. I want to go through this array and remove all the things that whose city is not Sandy. What's like the function for that, or the method? Like, so this filtered city should only have cities with the Sandy. Am I making sense? I mean, it's right there. Filter this one, and it's right there. I want to filter the cities, so I would hope filter would probably be the method. So I could do something like this. I could set my filtered cities to my properties dot filter. So let's go through each city, and I want to keep my city where go through each of my properties where the property dot city equals the selected value. Or I could also just be even more clear and call that's really just the selected city. So now when I come in, I click Salt Lake. Now in my filtered cities, all of those filtered cities are it's the properties that just have Salt Lake. My data, my properties data remains unchanged, like it's still there. Right, I wouldn't want to like filter data. I want that to like, because then I'd have to change data. Like I kind of want this separate state, and I want data, just this properties data, to remain the same. because then I can just always take that and just filter from it. So I'm using this properties to like grab my unique cities. Then I can use my properties to grab just the city, or sorry, this properties to grab just the properties where it's a certain city. So I'm reusing this properties data. And then, yeah, here
You can do that because of Axios hooks, right?
because of X, what do
Is
you
that
mean?
at the top there? Is that
So this is just, getting the data from my database. And I'm doing this once, but then I can use this properties data, like I can reduce it, I can filter over it. And one of the remember, like with reduce and filter, we're not changing this actual data. We're returning new arrays or new states or new objects.
yeah,
So
your API call and like in order to get properties, like in order to grab it so easily, that's because of Axios hooks, right?
Yeah. So we don't need like the use effect and like the set. Like this is doing like, use effect, state,
Yeah, I see that.
etc. in one line. Cool. But yeah, I might want my own like state. So we want like this filtered city state. My unique cities, I don't create that into state because I can just like return them and then render them. That doesn't really have to be stakes. It's not changing, but definitely my filtered cities that I'm going to want to be state because those are going to be changing. Cool. So now that we have that, now instead of just stringifying all this stuff, let's do a little function down here called render properties. And then const render properties. So maybe I'll just do a little quick check, like, let's call this rendered, just so it's a little more semantically correct with what we're calling things. Rendered filtered city. Be like very explicit what this is doing. Okay. And then, yeah, maybe I want to set this to null. Because what I could do here, like, if I don't have filter cities, I could like return no properties or so down here, it's going to say no properties or select the city because I haven't selected one. So that kind of handles that case. If they haven't selected one, and then if there is something, then I could return. Well, this is where I want to like map over my cities. But now we kind of need to once again figure out how to do that. So let's just do another table. So for now, I'm not going to worry about mapping. I'm just going to worry about like returning a table. And I forget what we need. What do we need? We need price, beds, bath, square foot. So price, beds, bath. Table is not defined, so then I can come in here. city. Okay, there's my table. It's not actually the data I want, but at least I'm like rendering it. So now I just gotta figure out how to, render this. So really what I want to do, like I want to leave this, this table and this header, like these are hard coded. The thing I want to map over is these table rows. And that's where so this is where I'm going to do my mapping. So I'm going to use my filtered cities here to map. Go through each city and return, a table row. So I'm kind of getting close. Like I select the city and now it's like rendering, however many properties that has, but this is still hard coded data. But now I can just match this with, with my actual data. So I have this C data, so I can grab the C.price, C.beds, C. Baths, C.square_feet. There we go. Let's just grab, just for like checking, let's just see if let's just make sure we're like filtering the right city. So I have Draper selected. I'm only showing, properties from Draper. I have Sandy. I'm only grabbing my Sandy ones. Cool. So there is that feature. So I'm gonna just do this. Let's do a get add dot -m. Let's push this up.
Should we be using branches on our project?
I would say like this would be a good time. Like you don't have for your homework, you don't have to. I think this can be a good time to start getting that practice.
Yeah, that'd be good practice to have.
Yeah, it's just like more like a learning experience because you will be using branches on your when you do your portfolio projects. You don't have to for your hackathon, but it can just be a good way to kind of maybe start getting into that.
Okay.
Start practicing it. Cool. So yeah, so this front end's done. So I could go ahead and go.
You gotta figure out the drop down thing if you want to try to fix it.
What? Oh yeah, how did you do that?
So if you give your drop down button or your drop down, if you give it a title.
Oh, okay. Title
Yeah. So just do like title equals.
on the select. Something like that.
Yeah. Nope. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense.
Maybe if I thought.
But yeah, well, that's what I would kind of like expect.
Mhm.
Or like it'd be this thing. There's gotta be like just like a select. Maybe it's just on the select. Select placeholder. Maybe it was on this one that was all weird when I came here. Make it disabled.
Maybe it's placeholder.
Is there,
Instead of title, it's placeholder.
is there a placeholder?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I just have an error. Oh, I have an error because my server's broken. I'm not have my server running. Let's go back to title. Maybe it was title.
I think it's placeholder actually for a form. If it's a button, it's title. But I think for a form, it's placeholder. Damn it. All right.
Isn't it like label or something? Because placeholder would be what would be in the field,
Oh yeah, good point.
or it's something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's. I wonder if this one worked where they had like a disabled value.
Oh yeah, that would, okay.
I don't know. Please choose. Oh, there we go. So I can throw in a option, my own option with no value. It's disabled, select, and hidden. So then that way you can't.
Well,
select
that's straightforward.
Yeah. There you go. Let's go ahead and add that. Git commit. Git add. Git commit dash m. Should be more descriptive than that, but git push origin JY cities. Okay. So now I can go to GitHub and I can, merge that.
So your properties page didn't have a drop down like that, right? Do we need one on our products page?
That would be for like categories, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's gonna it's gonna be like your category. So you should select like a category, and then that would show you the.
Yeah, but the front or the available page should just be like everything, right?
It's the available is not. It's not everything. It doesn't have like the buyer stuff on it. So we won't probably get to the buyer stuff until Monday. I think maybe we might get far enough where you can like try to start doing it, but you're not going to have like an example, like a code example to go off of. You have this like your, so for your app, it's going to be, hey, select a, what is it called in the Etsy app? Like an artist or a seller?
Like the seller, yeah.
Seller.
And then
So
you
you
can
would,
sell their products.
you would select a seller, and then that seller is going to have like, so a buyer is going to like, kind of have a seller. And then you would select the buyer, and then you would show all of the items, or are we calling it items?
Products.
Products. You would show all of the products that match the buyer's categories and the max price range.
I don't think we have buyers. So that's just something.
Yeah, you do have buyers, right? You should.
I thought we only had sellers and products.
We did buyers.
Yeah, you have buyers. So we haven't done anything with the buyers yet. You just do that here. But cool.
Okay.
All right. So let's I'm going to check out master. I'm going to do a get poll origin master just to grab all those changes. Let's think about this question. Is there something I need to do? I pulled from master. This one's a little tricky. Because did we do any of those like extra steps on that last branch or that last feature that just polling is not enough? Is in here like there should be a clear sign right here. Our package JSON changed.
Yeah, like a new library got added.
Yeah,
Was it the hooks?
Yarn.
yeah, it was the hooks. This is a trick question. So do I need to run yarn?
You don't, but everybody else would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you already have it.
Yeah, why do I like, yeah, because I already have it. And we ignore the node modules, so I already have it. I don't need to run it, even though I like switch branches and I don't need to run it, but everyone else on my team would need to run yarn. There's no, like, if you're ever unsure, just run yarn. Run bundle. It's not going to like hurt anything. So if you're ever worried, do I need to run yarn or do I need to run bundle or do I need to do a Rails DB migrate? These are commands you can just like, they're like, if you're up to date, you can just run them and they won't do anything. So you can always err on the side of caution with those. Cool. So let's go ahead. Let's start with this feature, cities backend. Now, we did all the front end stuff with all the back, like without having to do any of the back end, right? Like we technically don't need to do this because this feature is like done. But I just want to get some more practice with the back end. So we're actually going to create some calls, some API calls to do some of the stuff. So we don't, these are now, since the way we did it, they're not needed, but let's just pretend, you know, we want to do them. So I'm actually going to do 2 calls. Well, actually, and it's just more to like get us to think about this. So let's think about the 2 calls we're going to want. So I'm going to want to do a call that grabs me all the unique cities. Cool. And then I'm also going to want a call that when I can get back the property information for a given city. So those are the 2 API calls I need to do for the back end. Cool. Questions with that? All right. Cool. So let's just do it like this. Because this actually, it seems like it might be simple, but we'll see. So let's first do, yeah, let's try to do this in, oh, I didn't save that crap. Oh, I didn't save that last change. I'm just going to be, I don't want to create a new pull request. So I'm just going to push this to master. All right, cheated there a little, but cool. So I'm going to do a get pull origin master Then I'm going to do a get checkout. JY, let's do city backend. Oh, what did I forget? So I don't have this branch, so I need to create it with the -B. Sweet. That takes me to that branch. Just want to make sure my client's on that branch. Even though I probably am not going to be doing anything on my client, 'cause this is a backend feature. So cool. So now I want to first get all the, the unique cities. So we could do this in SQL Electron. So let's kind of do this both ways. So go ahead, open up your SQL Electron and connect to your database. So which one is it? It is, what is the name of it? So remember, I just want to find this DPL real estate spring 22 development one. So I connect to that database. Okay, select star from grab. Well, I'm trying to grab like the city information. Doesn't that live in our addresses table, I believe? Cool. So I just want the city. And I want this to be unique. So I can do distinct. Oh. So if I want to do an API call where we just grab the distinct cities, this is how I do the SQL. So let's go add that to Rails. Okay, close all these. So first of all, it kind of makes sense just to, when you can, to throw these methods in, maybe which one you're doing your from. So since I'm doing this select from addresses, I'm going to create this method in my address model. So then I could come in here, do a method def self dot distinct.
Wait, I have a question about this.
Yeah.
So for us, like our categories are within our product. Except we already did that backend call in our product.rb for the other page.
Your categories are in your product. Oh yeah, like that categories text is in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like we already are doing like the def self.available and then the select. We're already doing that in our product.rb. So would we put this in there as well? Or do we just, I guess we're already doing categories already in there. So how would we do that? Would we just have to normalize it in the front end?
Like, are you saying you want to move it from one file to the other?
Well, I'm saying like, in order to do the products page we did yesterday, we had to kind of filter through some of this data, kind of like what James did yesterday. And so if we were to do this, what he's doing right now, we'd have to do that in the same file that we did all that stuff yesterday.
Are you, are you even
That
talking
makes
like
sense.
front end, back end?
Back end, I can share my screen, or I can,
Yeah, do you want to share your screen?
yeah. It's like so hard to explain this. Okay. Okay, yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about this right here.
Okay. So you're
like-
grabbing your products and joining on sellers.
Yeah,
Okay. So, and then you'd want to do like,
So how do we do the categories?
yeah. How do we do that distinct category?
You just define another method.
oh yeah, you want to
Yeah, would that work?
Yeah, you can do as many methods on here as you want.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was gonna call like both of those methods. But
Yeah,
that
you-
makes sense.
You could, yeah, come up with a, because your category lives on your product. So if you wanted distinct categories and you want to do that on your back end, you could create, yeah, a method distinct categories and figure out how to grab the distinct ones.
Okay, cool. That answers my question.
So it's, yeah, it really just becomes like you can kind of do like whatever. It's like you're kind of writing the code. You can control like, do you want to do it on the back end, the front end, both? Like this distinct cities, I don't need to do this on the back end, right? We kind of just saw like I'm already from that first available call, like I have all the cities and I could just filter it on the front end. Just kind of showing you like, well, we can also, let's also maybe do it on the back end. Just so we can get like some practice. So here, let's just do like a select. So I do my method and
Can't
then,
see your screen.
oh, thank you. So you don't have to do like the SQL Electron. I just think it's a nice, it's kind of like a code sandbox. I think it's useful to have open. So let's just like start trying to do this. So let's do like a select star from, or I might even need to do like a dot from addresses.
I learned something interesting yesterday that might screw people up in the future that I feel like I should share.
Yeah, what was it?
Sometimes when I format my code, I like to leave spaces in between, like whatever the function I'm calling, and then the things that I'm passing it. So like I put a space in between select and the first parentheses, but SQL does not like that.
Oh,
Yeah, we had that too.
We did that too.
Yeah.
like this.
No, so
So
like
like in between
in
the
between select and the first parentheses, like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does not like that.
because
Yep.
Ruby is different from Java and React, right? Where it's like the spaces actually matter.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, that's more a Ruby thing. I don't think you want to like, because this is a, like you're calling a function.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Ruby. It's not, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want a space right there.
Yeah. You can do that in JavaScript, but not in Ruby.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want a space right there either. That would break, but like I can do an enter that works. So that like the enter can just be nice because then it can become more readable, especially if we
more
start
compact.
changing these. But yeah, I couldn't do like a space right there. That would break it. So even before I did this, if I'm like if I want to just get this working, I would just do like a, here's a method, it's just returning the string working. Because now what I want to do, just going through like small steps of testing, I create a route for this. So maybe I have like a route that's like, I don't know, cities distinct. Where do I, or I could, I think it's always like match addresses, you know, distinct cities. that can take me to my addresses method or addresses controller to this distinct cities method. So then I could go to my addresses controller, which do I have? I could also just do this in my properties. I might, and I think, yeah, actually, I think let's just do this in my properties. I don't have to like specifically do this anywhere. I think it makes sense since my property has one address. Sure, it can go in my properties. I can say like properties, distinct cities. So then I can go to my properties controller. Def distinct cities. And render JSON. Now this one I did define in my address model, address.distinct cities. And all I'm doing, like so I have this route. If I do a get to properties distinct cities, that should take me to that method. Render JSON address.distinct cities, that should call this method, which should just render working. So this is just, these small steps of getting stuff working. So now I'm just really testing, do I have this controller set up correctly? So I could do a local host 3001 API properties, distinct cities. Actually, I don't even need to call that distinct. It should just be cities. Kind of just assume that's like, right? That to me makes sense. I don't have to say it's distinct. It should just be the cities. That's just more of like a naming decision I just made, like whatever, just cities. I think that makes it, actually to me, it makes it more clear. So I need to fix that. Since I changed that name, I need to fix that method in my address model. I did properties controller. Oh, it's right there. So there's that. It's just like completing that chain to go from a get request to like a certain controller to a certain, class method. And then if you wanted to try to skip the Postgres part or like the SQL Electron part, you can just, then start trying to do it here. So here I make the change and then I hit refresh. Cool. So there's all, I'm doing a select star from my addresses. I could do like a select city from address, refresh, and then select, distinct. The distinct is like now becoming a word that is not looking like a word. Dude, is that how you spell it? Cool. That's giving me the ID. Why is it? Am I spelling distinct wrong?
No, that's right.
It's good to me.
Select distinct city. Why is it not getting? I don't know why it doesn't like that from there.
Does it need to have the dot?
What?
It needs to have the dot from.
Maybe I just do this here. select city from. I don't know, like it's so Rails, because since I'm in the address class, like I don't need the from address. So I think there's like some stuff behind the scenes. Because like I'm in the address, so it's gonna, when I say to select distinct city, it's gonna do it from the address table. So
You were calling it addresses too. I don't know. Does it need to be just singular address?
from, no, it should, this should be like I mean, this is how it works, like, right? I should be able to copy and paste this. Was I spelling it wrong there? No, it's like it's a Rails thing because like I am calling the select method in my address model, so I don't need to say from.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm kidding. Let's just try this like city, or let's say I want to do like select I don't know, ID. I forget how the works. So there's my ID of my addresses, but I think like I can do like a from. Let's say I want to do this from, I don't know, like my buyers. Do I have, I have 50 buyers. What don't I have? Or let's just do something not ID. Let's do like first name. See if this works. So I can do like a dot from a different table that I'm like not in the same model. But I don't want to do like a dot from like addresses. I think this is what's screwing it up. I don't need to, so I can just do a select distinct city. And since I'm in the address model, it will grab me that. And there we go. And then if I don't know, if I wanted to just return this as like a array of strings, you know, let so like the cities equal that, and then I could do like a cities dot map. Ooh. So this is like, you know, just like in JavaScript, there's a map. It's just a little different syntax. I could do city dot city because that's what it is. See if that, save that to get like rid of that like ID and city. There we go. Now that function just returns an array of strings. So now I could have this API call where, you know, my instead of having my front end filter the cities, they could do a front end call to get the distinct cities.
I feel like I like this a lot better.
What?
I feel like backend is a lot cleaner. Doing that on the back end.
I mean, maybe it's kind of like,
Well, I guess I'm curious to see, since you've done that, like how much work it's going to take on the front end now.
It wouldn't take that much work, not since we have it like done. Well, I mean, let's think about that. Let's go to our cities page. what would we really need to do? The only difference, like the get unique cities, instead of doing this, Axios call. So that's the one thing. And let's just do it.
Yes, you could just do your Axios call instead of that reduce.
Yeah, and do Axios call here. We would need state, because this would have to, since it's an Axios call, we'd have like this concept of like, this wouldn't be available. Like, we'd have to kind of do the Axios call, wait for it, and then set the state. So we would need to set up state. Like I set up like unique state. Yeah, maybe we'll do that, but let's just keep going on with the back end. So there is that method. So the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to grab. So let's think about it this way. Let's go kind of from the routes perspective. So I want a route that's like a get, properties, and then like a specific city. So this one's it's going to be like Salt Lake or Draper. It's going to be an actual value, and that should go to, let's just create a method called property, city. So someone goes to properties and then gives me a city. Let's take them to the properties controller, to a city method. And then, yeah, for maybe this one, maybe I'm going to call this on the property model. Trying to think what to call this. Yeah, I think city's fine. But this one I'm actually going to like pass some like that parameter, which we're getting from params, which would be the city param. Okay. City's starting to not look like a word to me. So let's go to my property method or property model. And now I'm going to do this def self.city. Remember, this took in a city param. And let's just return the city.
Your line 13 available spelled wrong, just FYI. You need an L after the I.
Okay. So if I change it there, I would need to also change that in there. Cool. Hopefully that doesn't break it. So let's test this out now. So let's just review what we did. So on our routes, we added this route. So we do a get properties : city. So this is my param. That's going to be the param : city, where they can actually type in the city. That takes me to my properties controller, to the city method. If I go to the city method, we go to the property model and call this city method. And we pass it right here, the params : city, which is going to be the city from the URL. And then in my property model, we have the city method, which is going to, has access to that one argument, which should be the city, and that's all we're going to return. See, I said city like 10 times in 10 seconds.
The
So
word
let's
has lost all meaning.
what?
The word has lost all meaning.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it's Friday.
Like I said, city is not looking like it's cities, especially. Doesn't look like a word. So if I go to cities ASDF, I'm expecting this to return ASDF. So let's see if it's working. So no, oh, wait. Oh, I don't want to do, wait, what's my route? Properties. So I'm getting a 404, so I already forgot what route I had for that. So it's properties and then the city. So I don't need cities right here because that's going to be a specific city. Cool. So what this route, so there's my ASDF. So what I'm kind of saying, like, when I hit type properties SLC, there's my SLC. So that's what I'm passing here. I finally now have like that city where I want to grab all of that info. So let's do this. Let's do and once again, like you can do this. You don't even have to use SQL Electron. You can just start trying to do this in here. Like maybe I want to get like, like my price. That's, and what else? Square footage. And what else did I want? Beds. I think that's like the data I needed. Price, beds, baths, square footage. So those are all from my properties table. And I'm in my property model. So now let's see if that works. So I'm getting the price, beds, baths, square footage, beds, ID. But I want this only to be for a select city. Well, how do I even get the city name on here? Like I want, let's say I want city. City doesn't live on my property model. City lives on my address table. So I want all of this data just from my property model, but I need to get this city information. So I need to do a join. So I could do a dot joins. So I need to go ahead and join my addresses table. So I'm going to join this and I'm going to alias this as a, and I'm going to do this on. So I'm going to do my properties dot ID equals this address dot property underscore ID. Let's just try that because now maybe I can grab this city data, but this is going to be a dot city. Go test this out. Let's refresh it. Params. Okay. See, this is where I like the SQL Electron because you can get in syntax errors can get a little tricky on. What am I doing wrong here? I need like an inner. I need to do like.
Yeah, I was going to say the call we did yesterday has an inner join.
Cool. So now I'm getting so now I'm getting all like my properties and I'm getting the city information. Cool. So now I can do now I can like filter. So I could do a dot where. And let's do like this gets a little tricky too, because I want to use this like city variable. Let's just like hard code this for now. Let's just do like where A dot city equals, like we have an SLC, right? So for now, I'm just hard coding SLC. Column SLC does not, where? What? Undefined column. Column SLC does not exist. Oh, do I need this to be like a see if I wrap that in a string. Okay. Sorry, I needed, so I think it's good to do these in double quotes because what I needed to like wrap that as a string. So now I'm doing where a dot city equals SLC. I think we also wanted this to be like, and like technically we could do like, you know, properties dot sold, you know, is not true. So let's see if that. So those were all sold. Let's see, let's do property dot sold or just sold. Okay, yeah, those are all sold as false. Cool. Sweet. So now what I want to do is not actually have this be Salt Lake. So let's see, maybe we could just interpolate this city. So now the city I pass, maybe that will interpolate it. Let's see if that works. So this is SLC. Still getting that. It doesn't really like that. Let's try doing this. Let's try doing a question mark. And then I'm going to pass city right here. Let's see what this does. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to make this a capital SLC. That's not doing it. So what's going on here is this question mark is a wildcard, and then I can throw in the variable here. So it's going to take this variable and place it where this question mark is. Now,
Concatenated like two strings with city in between. Does that make sense?
with city in between.
I guess that would be the same thing as interpolating, just kind of backwards. So if that didn't work, mine probably wouldn't work either.
Yeah, and then you could do like multiple, like I can do city true. So it just kind of goes in order. So this first variable would take the first question mark. This would take the second. But I'm getting into another like issue, like this is not working because it's case sensitive right here. And the param I'm passing is let's just try this. Let's upcase it. See if that fixes it. Cool. There's that's working because I upcase it and SLC is upcased. But now that's not going to work for Draper. So I actually want to lower, so there's a lower function. So I'm going to lower this string to, so kind of lower, it's like the lowercase. It's going to take my, whatever that string is and lowercase it. And then I'm also going to call downcase here. So what this is doing, it's just in my SQL call, it's just going to say, hey, take all this, the data from the database, the cities down and downcase it. And then the thing that was passed to the function also downcase it. So it's the way for me to tell it to ignore the case. So now it works for Draper. Because, you know, in my database, it's a capital DRAP, but I'm sending it as lowercase. So I'm just lowercasing everything. So if I do SLC, that works. If I give it, you know, something that doesn't really exist, it just gives me back an empty array. And what I do want to send also, maybe let's give it an ID. So let's just think of something unique, and that would be like the properties ID. Let's send along that properties ID. So that has an ID, and the ID, what this is the property. I don't need this sold either. It's just kind of more for testing. But there we go. I kind of might not even need the city, but I think that's just kind of good sanity check to make sure, you know, those are there. So there is that call. Now this one, yeah, I didn't do using SQL Electron. I think it's easier to go into SQL Electron and like figure it out, get it working, and then, you know, get it working inside of here. But here's something new we saw today is, yeah, like, let's say I have a variable that I want to use in my SQL command. Well, these methods are going to give me the ability to add a question mark, and I can add as many question marks as I want. And then I just, in the function, just add them as arguments, and it just takes the order. So the first question mark is going to use, you know, that argument, and then the second one's going to use the next one, and so forth. So yeah, if I was thinking about how I would now do this on the front end, I could like get the unique cities, which, no, it's right, sorry.
Would just be an API call, right?
Yeah, it's actually, sorry.
Or
It's,
Axios.
yeah, it's on my handle select. Here I could set the filtered cities, or yeah, or, you know, Axios call to set. But it would still, let's just do this really quick. Let's just do let's make this async. You know, let res equal await axios.get /API/ properties. I need to interpolate this because we need to actually grab send the city that was selected. And then here we could set filtered city to res.data. So let's just like comment out that way. Right, that I'm thinking this should work. Let's see, let's just go to locals. Do I not have my server running? No, yarn start. Cities, let's select the city. Yes. But yeah, see, with all of those, it's doing a Axios call.
So every time you change it, that's a new Axios call.
Yeah.
It's pretty clean though, to be honest.
Yeah, it just seems a lot more straightforward than the previous way.
Yeah, it depends. It's like, what if this Axios call takes a while? It's like, man, I already have the data. This is going to be quicker. It's no accident. I'm just going through my data and I'm just like filtering it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, you might not notice a difference.
So you're doing it. Wait, you did 2 different ways to do it.
Yeah.
And which one's better to you, the Axios call, the bottom one?
Oh, like I said, I think for now, like really, it really is.
Is there a certain point at which an Axios call like starts to get slow?
I guess it depends on how much data is in it, the storage.
Yeah, I mean, it's your data.
There's probably a couple different factors, right?
Well, it can kind of be like, if you kind of do it this way, where you get all the data up front, that can tend to be like a big Axios call, where that initial call can be a little long, but then you have all your data.
Right.
These ones where you're kind of grabbing just little sections of your database and just grabbing like chunks of it, these can be quicker. So you might need to do more of them, but they can be like faster. Like, I mean, think about Amazon, like, and maybe what you do is like you kind of find a combo of the two, but like if you're talking about Amazon, if you go to Amazon, you're not going to want to grab every single product they have in their database, right? You're going to want some filtering. So
your cities is like technically our categories.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. I think it can, yeah, I think it's like, it's good to kind of show how you can do this both ways. Yeah, it's usually kind of, because it's usually kind of going to be a combo, and maybe on like Monday or probably Tuesday, we might even show how to do like something called pagination, or maybe we do have an Axios call that like can grab all our data, but we don't send it all at the same time. I mean, you've seen pagination with like, Amazon, where like you get a list of products and at the bottom is like, a page number, or like you do a Google search.
Or there's like a load more option.
Yeah, load more. It's like they're not giving you back all the data at once. Sometimes you might just do like, you might have all the data, but you just don't want to show them all the data. So that can be another thing too, where it's like they have the data, but you're not going to render it all to the UI. Because that's definitely like with React, you'll definitely know, like if you're trying to render like 100,000 things in React, that will totally slow down your app. It's maybe not like that. Maybe it's not that long to get 100,000 things from like a database call.
Right.
So you might have those in like your memory, but you're not going to try to render 100,000 things.
Yeah, people are pretty impatient nowadays.
Yeah, because it's like, for React, that's a lot of work to do, and that actually, like, you'll notice like a lag if React's trying to render like 100,000 like cards.
Yeah.
But
What did he say?
What?
No, I was saying, what did Steve say? He said people.
I just said people are impatient nowadays. If that was my mom, for example, she'd throw her computer across the room.
Like 10 seconds to load
That
it.
page to load.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So what about like Instagram? That's like the infinite scroll. Is it just like continually doing small API calls?
Yeah, and so if I actually,
like you're talking about when you scroll down your feed.
yeah,
Like how you don't have to click like a show more button or like next page, how it just keeps coming up.
yeah, for sure. So and we'll talk about that too. So that's the same thing as like pagination.
So it's kind of
So-
just doing a new API call towards when you're getting the end of your feed and you need more feed. It just
Yeah.
does another API call.
Yeah, so this is actually doing that. So as I scroll down, you see how it's doing these call, like those green lines are Axios calls. So as I scroll down, it's like, oh, I need more data. So this is like an infinite scroll, like I haven't loaded all the data, but as I'm scrolling, it gets to a point and it's like, oh no, we're getting close to the point where we don't have any more data. Let's go get some more. And
So it's
then-
looping the same data.
Yeah.
So as long as you have data, you can pretty much just keep scrolling.
I don't know if you can notice as I keep scrolling and scrolling, like this does get a little laggy. Because what is also happening is like React is actually rendering all of this stuff. And so as I scroll down, it starts to lag. So it's not a matter of like there being too much data. It's like React is like rendering all of these tables.
So when this page loads, it doesn't load all of that data right away.
No, it's got like 20, I think it loads like 25 things.
Okay.
So I could go, where is it?
So every time you go to your network tab, you're just checking like your API calls and how quick everything's going and everything.
When I do what?
When you go to your network tab instead of console.
Yeah, this is how I can like this is just like this is a website. Like I don't even have to I wrote this this is one I wrote, so I know it's working, but you could go in and do the same thing. And you could see like, oh man, it just did a properties page 2 request. I keep scrolling. That looks like a bug, actually. That is a bug. This page should be incrementing. Or is it? Yeah, this is a bug. Maybe it's because this console is. Yeah, okay, well, I just found a bug.
Was it the same data over and over again?
Yeah. This should be like page 3, page 4, page 5. But you can see that because I'm getting back these calls. Like, so every time I scroll down and it runs out of data, it gives back like these, these things. So this should be page 3. And then with it, the page 3, it should like pull up the next 25 properties. So yeah, I just found a bug with this. I thought I was getting duplicate names because of Faker, but it's like, wait, no. That's why I'm getting duplicate names, is because I'm just doing the same API call. So this is bad because this would like just go on forever and ever. But that's, at least you can like see as I scroll, like I'm doing a new Axios call and I'm getting back 25 pieces of data at a time. Because that can be like, that's generally going to be quick. So that's, yes, like that's what you'll see with like Facebook and Instagram. Like Facebook's not just going to like load all of your posts. It's like as you scroll, it will start to load them.
Smart. I like that.
But there's also another thing with just React where you could have all of the data, but React is only going to render like I could have like 100,000 properties right now in my data, but React, there's a way to make it so React is only going to render like what you can see. Because yeah, as I scroll through this, like it's starting to lag because when I do the new API call to get the 25 things, now it's rendering like 1,000 things. And that lag's just going to get worse. But anyway. Cool. Let's, I think in the last little bit, let's do kind of want to do the, let's start doing the SQL for this feature. For the find home. So I want to grab the agents, and I'm also going to like order them by like yeah, I want to get my agents, but I want to order them by like properties that I think are unsold or properties that are sold. So, because just grabbing like all my agents, that'd be pretty easy. That'd be like agent.all. But now I'm going to try to order them by like how many properties they sold. So we're going to take like a simple thing and make it more complicated, just so we can get some SQL practice. So for this, I am going to use SQL Electron. So let's first let's first think about this. So let's just do select agents, select star agents. This is part of the reason I like doing it here is you can just kind of look at what your tables look like pretty easily. So there's our agents, and we have select star from properties. So remember, my properties has sold on it, like whether or not it's sold, but it also has like the agent ID. So let's do something like this. Let's just select sold from properties, and I'm going to like comment this one out. Okay. So here's my sold. I have like all these false and trues. Let's say I want to like count what has been sold and what hasn't. So I'm going to do a count star. So I'm doing this from properties, and if you do a count, you need to group by. So I'm going to group by sold and order by count star. Group by on, I have been syntax error. This is not it, but I'm just going to do it from right here. Oh, I think I'm forgetting a. So I'm going to do this count star. I forgot. I'm going to give this a name as like, frequency. Just going to change up the name, frequency. Okay. So I have one null. I have, and then 16 that are sold and 34 that are not. I must have created this one in like my Rails console. But I wonder if this is going to screw stuff up. Let's go try to find this and delete it. So select star from properties. Where just what ID is that? It's 51. Okay. Where ID equals 51. There it is. Delete from properties where ID equals 51. Cool. Now it's gone. So I didn't want that null one in there, just that might cause some problems. So what I'm doing, I'm selecting sold, but I want to create this new thing that's like not in my database. I'm like this count. I want to create this count thing, and I'm going to call it frequency. So I want this new field from properties. So I'm getting sold, but I'm gonna like count it. Like, so it's gonna be like, you know, how many of them have been sold and how many of them haven't. So this is how I could like, and this is where like SQL, you can do lots of crazy stuff. You can just come up with, you know, can come in here and count how many of my properties are sold and how many of them are not. Okay, so let's take that. Do I need that order? I think I just do that. Just keep that a little more simple. Cool. So there's just like a count example. So now what I want to do is I want to grab my agents. So we'll do my select from, let's just do, what do I want? Let's do like my agents.id, first name. Let's just start maybe a little simple for now. Let's grab the first name from agents. Cool. Let's do a inner join because I want to grab that properties data. I'm going to like combine this counting thing. So let's just join our properties on our, let's alias this as P. Let's do this on our property.agent_ID equals our agents.id. So now that I'm joining these, I can like grab that like sold information on a property. So, you know, Garnet has these properties. I guess they're all not sold. P has, you know, looks like three properties that are not sold and 2 that are. But what I want to do is I want to like kind of combine this. I don't want to like, I want to grab the count. So I kind of want to do what I do here where I do like this count star as frequency. So I'm doing a count. Well, if I do this count star, I need to like tell it how to group. So I'm going to group by agent. I'm just going to kind of like make a set of like these fields, like the agents.id, first name, and sold. So like it'll kind of come through and like count where all these things are the same and give me that, start counting those. So it's like, oh, there's one Garnet false. There's one Garnet false. There's 2 of those, 1 Garnet false, 3 of those, and so forth. So it kind of counts those unique things. So there we go. So there are my counts. But I really only care about, you know, where sold is not true. Because this is giving me back like the false and true. So now I can just get the counts for where it's not true. Syntax error. Oh, I think I need to do this before the group by. I'm first going to remove all those ones that were sold as true, but now I have the ID of the agent. I have the first name that's sold, and then the frequency. Like, so how many unsold homes does this agent have? And then I can go through and like, you know, grab the last name. What else do I want to do? Email. So I can go grab all that email stuff. And then I don't know if I want to do some order. I could order by count star, or I could order by frequency. Same thing. like descending order. So now I'm ordering by agents, you know, with the most unsold properties. So that gets a little more like, it's kind of an interesting call because this is really just like agent.all, but then we're sorting them by their unsold properties. But to do that, we need to like count this sold column, which is on our properties table. So we need to join our agents on our properties table, you know, filter out all the ones that are not, all the properties that are not sold, so forth. Really, I think I could just get away with just the agent ID and sold, just something that's going to give me unique. Wait, do I need the first name? Oh, yeah. Actually, sorry. I don't really think I need that. I need the agent's ID. I need just like a unique, so the ID and the sold combo, like those are going to be unique just because the ID should be unique. So there is that command. How do you feel about that one? So let's go throw this now in, you know, a SQL command. So let's go into like our agent. Well, first let's set up the route for this. Let's go to our routes. This is going to be, let's maybe trying to think what route we should call this. So this should be a get, let's call this agents. Maybe this is just like an index because we are just like grabbing all of our, it really is, we're just grabbing all of our index, but it's just kind of like a special, special method. So that will go to our agents controller, to our index method. I think we'll need to create this controller. Rails G controller API / agents. All right, so now in my agents controller, can have a dev index. Let's just to test this. Let's just do a render JSON agent all just to see that we got that like route set up. So localhost API agents. Did I think I did. Okay. I screwed up this up on the routes. I don't need to go to index. I just do a get agents. So that's just kind of like a general, you know, get to agents, take me to my agents controller, to the index method, render. So then in that, in my agents controller, render JSON agent.all. Cool. So that's all of our agents, but like I said, we wanted to sort these by unsold properties. So let's do this. I don't know, let's just call this like unsold. So just we're going to make a custom method in our agent model where we do that SQL. So def, unself dot unsold homes, and that's what we want to do here. So select. So I don't want to throw in the select. This is part of that, but I'll just do the select, all of that information. I don't need the from because we're in our agents. So I'm going to do the dot joins. Just copy this inside of all of this inside of here. Then the dot where. So it's not true. I forget, I think the group is just dot group. And then the dot order. Okay. So now I can try doesn't like the order. Let me just get rid of that for now. Okay, so we're close. So something you can do when you're like trying to like get this working is like, yeah, you can just comment stuff out. Maybe I think I need the by there. Let's see this frequency. Order. What am I forgetting here? Guess I do have to use the alias there. It does not like me. It did not like me to use that. So yes, I think this can be a challenge with this is sometimes it doesn't exactly work. Like this one, I do have to use the alias here. Frequency descending. And now those are sorted by the frequency. So there is that one. Cool. Any questions with this? Time's up. There would be one more. I think let's call it good for now. There is one more we need to do is now that we have got the agent by unsold properties, then we would need to select the buyers for that agent. And then that one's actually not hard. We don't even need SQL for that. We can just use rels. But this next one's a little tricky too, where we grab the buyer's properties for a specific agent in like a specific desired cities and specific price range. So I might leave that as like a bonus over the weekend to try that on your own. The buyers is really easy to get because to get the buyers, let me just show you the buyers. This is just like, we don't need SQL. You just need the agent. And then you can just grab the buyers. Like no SQL needed for that. You can just use Rails and our associations. Cool. But we'll finish this one up on Monday. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Alrighty.
Questions? How you feeling?
It's a lot of stuff.
This one is so much stuff. But cool. Yeah. Just marinate on that, let it sink in over the weekend, and yeah, well,
So is homework just kind of what we did today?
yeah, it's going to be continuing on. Yeah, you could, I think now you could get started on your, like this, you could do the cities.
Okay.
And you could start, you know, with the agent. I think you could get like this far. Like you select an agent, and then that should show the agent's buyers.
Okay.
And then you could try doing this feature. Like, you know, go.
Hey, say after we get to the end of this project, maybe would there be a way to implement the CRUD actions with it too, like in the table, or that's kind of too hard?
No, you could totally do that.
But like that's like towards the end, if when we
Yeah, we won't be doing it. We won't be doing it in lecture, but yeah, you could do it. So cool. Awesome. Well, have a good lunch, everyone. I'm gonna,
Hey, sorry, that kicked me out. What time?
let's come back at 2:10. We got
I'll
kicked
let
out
him know.
again.
He left again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll throw it out in Slack. But yeah, let's meet back at 2:10.
All right.
Sweet. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Too.